What's up, guys? It is Drew, and today, as I'm recording this, is March 30th, 2022, which, and I know it's probably most likely the next day or later by the time you're watching it, but, it isn't the day that I'm recording it. It's just pretty late. And today marks the 83rd anniversary of the publication of Detective Comics number 27, which featured the first ever Batman story, The Case of the Chemical Syndicate, written by Bill Finger and drawn by the often overcredited Bob Kane. And I figured it was this day that would be a good one to finally record my full spoiler review of The Batman. I just got back from seeing The Batman in theaters for the sixth time, which I think that sentence on its own kind of tells you my feelings on it. And yeah, so I am going to talk about the movie. I don't know if there's going to be much of any structure to this, but I'm going to say my feelings on the movie. Um, and yeah, this will be absolutely filled to the brim with spoilers. So if you have not seen this movie, I would extremely highly advise you not to watch this video until you have seen the movie. Even if you don't even want to see the movie, I don't want to ruin this cinematic experience for anyone. So please, if you have not seen the movie, advise I don't I would rather you not watch this video. Um even if you're not interested in the movie, in which case I don't know why you'd be interested in this video, but I don't want to risk ruining this experience at all for anyone, okay? All right. So, that is the spoiler warning. Get that out of the way. If you haven't seen it, please click off like right now because I'm about to get right into it. So, all right. Here we go. For starters, The Batman is fucking amazing. It is the best Batman movie yet and my favorite movie. And I know that that definitely comes with some recency bias, but I don't care because holy shit, you guys. The Batman understands its titular character better than any previous Batman film has. At least in live action, at least. Matt Reeves delves into the character of Bruce Wayne and the world of Gotham in a fresh new way that felt that felt like it honored the roots of the characters and universes while also giving us fresh new takes on them. And yes, so the whole thing, and the style. It's in a it's and it's something that previous Batman movies have really neglected, and a very important side of Batman's character. He is a detective. Previous Batman movies, they've shown his detective skills, but this Batman movie is a detective movie, which is the best genre for a Batman story to be. Um, because that is what makes the character so interesting. Showing him as a detective and acting that way, and it is so well. Furthermore, not only does seeing him act like a detective and show his detective skills is very good, his characterization is absolutely fucking spot on, as is his portrayal by Robert Pattinson, who I know some of you watching this may be skeptical of that. Well, hopefully, if you're watching this to this point, you've already seen the movie. I haven't said any spoilers yet, but please, for the love of God, don't keep watching this if you haven't seen the movie. And I know, like, a lot of people were skeptical, including myself. I was skeptical. I was very skeptical when Robert Pattinson was first cast to be Batman. but goddamn, did he blow it out of the fucking park. He is my favorite portrayal of Batman. The whole cast absolutely nail their roles. Um like yeah, everyone is fucking great. Um but this characterization of Bruce is very very cool because this is Bruce in his early years of being Batman. He's been Batman for 2 years in this movie. And so and he's at this point in the movie, he it is not it, there is none of like the common story idea that Batman and Bruce Wayne are kind of separate things. He is Batman. Bruce Wayne, he is Bruce Wayne, but he is fully into it being Batman. He doesn't have like the playboy billionaire Bruce Wayne persona in this movie. Bruce Wayne's like a reclusive billionaire, and he only uses the Bruce Wayne persona in public once for pretty much just for convenience, and we get to see how it affects him, how he really does not like being Bruce Wayne, or the public perception of Bruce Wayne at least. He's visibly very uncomfortable when he arrives at the funeral and the photographers start like snapping photos at him like crazy. It's like, that's Bruce Wayne. And yeah, he is fully focused on his mission as being Batman in this. And it is always focused on, at the beginning of the movie, he is vengeance, and it's the famous moment from the first trailer where he beats the hell out of the dude and then he says, "I'm vengeance," and it is part of a fucking fantastic character arc where at the beginning, he is vengeance. That's what he is. That's what he's acting out of. He goes out and he beats the shit out of criminals because he is vengeance, and he is seeking vengeance for what Gotham City's criminal element did to his parents, and that is his goal. But he goes through this amazing character arc in the movie, starting with like how at the beginning of the movie he is doubting his effect. He's doubting his effectiveness. He thinks that he says in the journal entry that we hear in a voiceover near the beginning, he says, I wish I could say I'm having an effect, but I'm not. And he says maybe the city is it can't be saved, but I have to try. He he can't even convince himself that he is having an effect. He's well aware that what he's doing isn't very effective, but he's still doing it because he feels so deeply that he has to do this. And it is, and then he goes through this really really big character arc when at first when the Riddler starts striking and he starts bringing down the corrupt elite of Gotham. It is when he finds out that his father, when he finds out the past of his family, that he really, again, I'm not going to go into context explaining things because if you're watching this part, you should have already seen the movie. When he finds out the truth about his father and what his father had did, even though, of course, it is later revealed that that his father never had any bad intention, but he made a mistake. It still challenges his motivation when he finds out about that because he sees it. He's been doing this for his parents this whole time. He says it towards the beginning when Alfred invites the accountants from Wayne Enterprises over, and like Bruce says that he doesn't that he doesn't care about any of that, and Alfred says, "You don't care about your family's legacy," and Bruce says, "What I'm doing is my family's legacy," which is very indicative of how he feels. He is doing this to avenge his parents, and to him, that's all that matters. And he doesn't care what happens to him. Then, when he finds out the truth of his parents, he at first believes that his father was a bad person. He believes it when he comes out, when the Riddler puts out his video framing Thomas Wayne to be a bad person. Then when he talks to Carmine Falcone, who says that Thomas Wayne had Falcone kill the reporter, and then is when he goes to Alfred, and Alfred tells him the truth. That it's such a fucking good scene, because he has this really sincere moment with Alfred where we get to see him actually let his emotions out, and he's sitting there, and when Alfred explains the truth of what happened, and it's a very touching moment between Alfred and Bruce. Alfred expressing how he didn't know what to do when he had to start raising Bruce, and Bruce expressing the deepness of the fear he felt of what happened. And when Alfred was in the explosion and got sent to the hospital, the fear he felt of losing another person close to him, and him and Alfred holding hands. It's such a good scene. And I honestly, that's the one thing that I might have changed with Batman. I wish there was more Alfred. I wish there was more Alfred in the movie, because Andy Serkis does fucking great, even though we don't see much of him. And yeah, I wish there was a bit more in him, but I'm excited to see him in the sequel. But yeah, so, and his character, you got that, and then he. And then he starts. And then when he stops Selina from taking her vengeance on Falcone and killing him, he is kind of confronted with the idea that, vengeance isn't necessarily the answer. That he stops Selina, and mind, she was trying to kill him, and Batman obviously does not kill, but he still is kind of facing. He's stopping Selina from taking out her own vengeance, and in it you can see that's part of his character arc, realizing that vengeance is the wrong path. And then that is furthered along when the Riddler is arrested, and he talks to him and finds out that the Riddler has been viewing Batman as an ally this whole time, and that he's been manipulating Batman, but that he's been thinking that Batman has been willingly going along with all this and working with him, and that the Riddler was inspired by the Batman of his fear and violence and stuff. And then when he realizes that this man, this murderer, a man who took a father away from his son, was inspired by his actions, that's a big moment for Bruce. And then finally, what's like the last straw is when he, after taking the injection, which I think is probably venom, but I'll get to that later. After taking the injection and beating the fuck out of the Riddler follower, when he takes off the mask and Gordon asks, "Who are you?" and he says, "I'm Vengeance." That is the moment when it all sinks in for Bruce, and it's such a good scene because he looks at it and then he jumps up, hangs on the cable, and he severs cable, and he goes down and he fucking saves the people down there. And it's such a goddamn good scene because that shows it's compassionate Batman. Compassionate Batman, you guys. This movie absolutely nails it. So many previous iterations of Batman, most iterations of Batman focus so hard on him being this grim, dark vigilante, but they barely really delve into his compassionate side, because Batman is compassionate. He feels a deep compassion for people. He helps people, and this story arc was making him realize that. He realizes by the end, he says in a journal entry, that vengeance won't change the past, and that he has been having effect, just not the one he intended. Yeah, he hasn't been doing much to effectively stop the criminal element, but he has been saving people, and he has been doing good things, and he realizes that can become that can be what the Batman is. He can stop engulfing himself in his vengeance and and being all self-destructive, and focus on being a symbol of hope for the good people of Gotham. And my God, the scene where he is with the little girl, or the girl on the stretcher, and who, before she gets lifted up by the helicopter, and like he carry, and we see him carry her onto the stretcher, and she is scared, and she touches she touches arm, and he touches her hand and nods reassuringly. That is such a great scene. And even the way he like keeps like he keeps like touching her until, you know, the stretcher lifts up out of his reach, that is Batman's compassion displayed so well. It was so touching, and it shows that Batman is not a sociopathic vigilante who just beats the shit out of the mentally ill, like so many critics always say. He is compassionate. He has a desire to help people. He and he's not just hung up on the deaths of his parents. That's not why he does this. It is at first, but he has a character arc in this, and it is the same case with most versions of the character. He has a journey wherein he becomes more aware of him doing this for better reasons. And this movie did that so fucking well. And Jesus Christ, this is only one of the so many good things that I can talk about this movie. So I'm gonna try and transition here. But yeah, Batman's characterization, fucking perfect. Oh my God. What's a good transition? I guess transitioning from that, I could talk to you a bit more about the portrayal of Batman. Robert Pattinson fucking nails it. If anyone who's seen this movie still says that Robert Pattinson is a bad Batman, they can fuck right off. I'm sorry, but I mean, I'm that's not general. I respect people's opinions, but I'm being a bit dramatic right now. But he's great. He is my favorite portrayal of Batman, because his acting and it's so unique, but it's also feels so right for Batman. His intimidating vibe when he's around people, like when he's around the police at the crime scene at the mayor's murder, and him just standing there and making people uneasy. It's so perfect. And he seems like, at the same time, he's standing there, and he seems very aware how kind of ridiculous it is that he's here dressed as a giant fucking bat, but it works. It works really well. And Robert Pattinson's acting as Batman is so well portrayed through body language. And then his suit isn't as much as previous versions that constrict his movement. You know, his cowl is very non-restrictive. His eyes are like a big part, and his facial acting is very, very visible. It's not hard to read his expressions through the cowl at all, and he does everything so well. And obviously all his delivery of the lines is great. I love his Batman voice, how it's, you know, it's low and it's raspy and it sounds cool, and it's not, you know, the all the like, where are the other drugs, all the Christian Bale shit. Christian Bale, I like his voice in Batman Begins, but after that, no. Okay, just no. It cannot. It was way too much to be taken seriously. But Robert Pattinson nails it. On that matter, and I said that this is the best Batman movie. Yes, that means that I like this better than The Dark Knight. And I like The Dark Knight, but to be fair, the Dark Knight trilogy in general has never been as much my cup of tea as a lot of Batman fans, which is probably fairly surprising because of how insanely massive of a Batman fan I am. The Dark Knight trilogy just has never been for me. They're good movies, that's for sure. The writing is pretty good, and I like the story for the most part. I feel like it is mostly Christian Bale's portrayal of Bruce Wayne, and this is most certainly an unpopular opinion, but I cannot deal with that. it does not work. I cannot get immersed with his version of Bruce Wayne. It does not work for me. And I know that that's a pretty hot take, but yeah. And it's a lot of other aspects and I mean, it's great and they're good movies. They are in overall they're really good movies. Heath Ledger did amazing as the Joker, but it's the general tone that they take to the story just didn't seem to fit with the world of Gotham and with Batman, and the fact that they were really that they were, a lot more action movies, and the fact that it wasn't like a detective story like this was. And that leads me into, I guess, the characterization of Gotham as a whole. This movie nailed that. Gotham looks so good. It is what Gotham's like. It is bleak and hopeless, and it is these, and it's like, and like it's almost constantly being seen at night, and it's these huge buildings, and there's like, the old Gothic architecture. I've always kind of thought of like Gotham's aesthetic as being like London mixed with New York, and I think that's done pretty well in this. Um, and like it's great. It's fucking great. Gotham, not just the way the city looks, but the what happens in it, everything, and the way it's shown, the way it's portrayed is so cool, and the way the movie delves into the corruption of Gotham, all the corrupt officials, and the GCPD being extremely corrupt, and Falcone being the one basically at the head of all of it, is so interesting, and they delve into like the lore of Gotham really well as the connection with the Waynes and the Arkhams, which I really hope for them to explore further. And I know a lot of people are saying this, maybe the Court of Owls in a sequel. I think that would fit really well in this universe, but at the same time, there are also other villains that I also really want to see in this universe, to the point that I'm not sure if Court of Owls would fit in there with some of my other ideas. Court of Owls would be cool though. And the organization move on to, and like from the way Gotham's criminal element is portrayed is very interesting. The take like you had Falcone, who was really well done, really very amazing performance by John Turturro, and the Penguin, also really good, amazing. Colin Farrell, so glad he's getting his own HBO Max series. Very much looking forward to that. He's going to be putting on all that makeup a lot now, but it's quite a transformation. But he does great, and it's and like the way the criminals are, just the vibe of the whole criminal element is very well done. And the Riddler. Okay, I'll get to the Riddler now. Paul Dano does an amazing performance as the Riddler, and the Riddler is characterized in a very unique way. See, the viewer's perception of the Riddler is kind of intentionally set up to be not what you want it to be, because the marketing kind of fakes you out. So much of the marketing of the Riddler talked about unmasking the truth and made you think that the Riddler was targeting Batman. And that and in one of the trailers they even like did like, voice editing to make you think that the Riddler knows Batman is Bruce Wayne, but he doesn't. And it's a very interesting twist of his viewing of Batman, that he's not hunting Batman, he's been using Batman, and he thinks that Batman has been willingly participating in what he's been doing. He used Batman and the police and stuff to get Falcone into a position that would allow Riddler to then kill him. And he thought that Batman was cooperating the whole time, and when he finds out that Batman is not his ally and views him as a sick criminal, he has a breakdown, which is very well acted by Paul Dano. And then when his whole plan to flood the city goes down, and the whole third act is great, and the Riddler's vibe was, and this has been, and it's pretty well known by now that this Riddler was very inspired by the Zodiac Killer, which was very interesting with the ciphers and shit. It's definitely a different take on the Riddler, but I like it. It works really well, and having since especially since the Riddler in a lot of media is generally portrayed as being a very kind of silly character who's over the top and shit. Having I like Scary Riddler. Scary Riddler is cool. Um, what else can I talk about? God, there's so much to talk about. The overall style of this movie felt very unique in a way. I just felt the cinematography, very good job, by the way, by Greg Fraser. Um, and oh yeah, and the score. Big props to Michael Giacchino. Big props to everyone who was on the credits that rolled at the end of that movie, except for Bob Kane, credited for creating Batman because no, he did not. Um, uh, it's everything's done so well. The score and the cinematography, the way they mix together, it really portrays this as unlike any previous Batman movie. It is different and fresh, and at the same time, it feels more like a Batman movie than any other Batman movie. It works so well um in the everything. Okay, this movie is damn near perfect in almost every way, and I know that I am extremely biased because I've been excited because I was excited for this movie for like 3 goddamn years, a long, long time before the movie's out, a long time before we even knew jack shit about this movie, and I know that I am very, very biased. That being said, this is my favorite movie, and it's as close to fucking perfect as I've ever seen a movie get. um, my God. It's so great. I've seen it 6 times, and I gladly see it a lot more times. When it drops on HBO Max, April 19th, by the way, I am going to fucking watch it a lot, and I'm gonna break down the scenes. And I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. Um, my God. This movie been great. I could break down the whole plot. I'm not gonna do that, because that'd take a lot of time. But God, this movie is fucking fantastic, and uh, everything about the overall makeshift, more tactical feel of Batman and his tech. You know, the Batmobile just being a modified muscle car, his bat suit having a very tactical military look to it, his gadgets all being very practical looking. It's all very, very cool to look at, and it feels, and it's just such a Batman. And the cameo near the end of the movie, and which there has now been released the deleted scene that features the said character earlier, Matt Reeves's idea of this universe's Joker. Um, he looks fucking great. I will say that I think it is for the best that the earlier scene was cut out of the final version of the movie. Because I feel like if that scene, which features the Joker a lot more prominently, was in the movie, it would have taken a lot of attention away from the main focus of the movie of the corruption of Gotham and Bruce's character arc and the Riddler and stuff. So it's for the best that Joker was saved for near the end, where we could see him meeting Riddler in Arkham and set up for a potential sequel. I know that people are. I know that a lot of people are tired of the Joker, and he has been used a lot in media. And there are a lot of other good Batman villains that can be used. That being said, I still 100% want to see this version of the Joker as a villain of one of these movies, because I don't know, I guess I just don't get tired of some things. And the Joker's so cool, and I think this Joker can give us a Batman Joker dynamic better than we've ever seen before. Dare I say, better than Heath Ledger? Maybe. I'm not going to say that he's better than Heath Ledger because we don't have enough information to say that yet, but I am ready and willing to declare that if I feel that way. Because, and I know that comic book that comic book fans, that comic book movie fans will fucking burn me at the stake for this, but god damn it, I will die on the hill of my unpopular opinions. My takes, varying in temperature, are all mine and I will keep them. Yeah. So, um, one last thing I say is my ideas for the sequel. Now, there are a lot of directions that this could go for the sequel. I'll say some things I want. Like I said, I want Joker, and they've definitely teased that the Riddler's coming back, and they teased Riddler Joker teaming up. So I think Joker's happening. I think he's got to be. Joker's almost certainly happening. I do not want him for the second movie. They say that this is planned to be a trilogy. I would want them to save him for the third movie. Second movie, as the villain, I'm really not sure. I would really like a movie that properly that has a good live action take on Mr. Freeze, which we have not had yet. We had whatever the fuck Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Batman and Robin, which I don't like to acknowledge, so I'm going to move on now. And the version of Gotham in the Gotham TV show, which had a lot of potential, but just ruined. I could go on a whole rant about that, but I'm not going to. So to have a really good, proper live action take on Mr. Freeze would, I think, make for a great villain. As well as Scarecrow, because we've had because we've had one live action movie Scarecrow, and he was good, but he was ultimately just a kind of sidekick. And I think a really good live action Scarecrow would serve as an amazing main villain for a movie. And there are also other ideas, like I said, the Court of Owls would be really cool. They have teased the idea of Hush coming in, which I also see as a possibility. I think that a good inspiration for the next movie would actually be Batman Venom, because I know people are debating about this. I would really, and I know that it could just be adrenaline, okay, I know, but the Venom, the injection that Batman takes, I think it's Venom. I don't think they would have made it bright fucking green if they didn't want us to at least think it's Venom. And I think that Batman's Venom addiction would serve as an amazing basis for the next movie, and that would have him overcoming a another challenge, which I think would fit very well into this version of the character in this universe. And yeah, and then there's Robin. I would like to see Robin in this universe. I've got my ideas for how Dick Grayson could be brought in a bit of a different way, not too different. My idea is kind of that, like, the whole circus thing happens, but Bruce doesn't immediately adopt him as his ward. Instead, Dick starts going out fighting crime on his own. It's kind of like a mix of Batman Dark Victory and, like, the New 52 origin of Dick Grayson, which I really like, which explains kind of the Robin thing in a bit of a better way, that Batman didn't just adopt this child and say, hey, wanna fight crime? No. Dick Grayson started going out on his own. He started looking for the guy who killed his parents, and Batman knew better than anyone that he could not stop him, so he trained him so that he wouldn't get himself killed, and helped him track down the man who killed his parents early so that he would get closure soon and not end up the way Bruce did. And I think that'd be a really great story. Probably not for the second movie, though. But there are a lot of routes that you can go for the next movie. So, I have my ideas. I don't have, like, I don't really have a definitive thing of, like, this is what I think the next movie should be like. Nah. There are a lot of ideas. But, honestly, it doesn't matter that much, because I know that Matt Reeves is working on it. He's said that he's developing his ideas, and I think that it's best to just completely trust him to make this next movie, because he did a fucking great job with this one, and I am confident that he will do amazing in the sequel as well. And just, ignore all of mine and the collective fan base's dumb ideas. Some of them are good ideas, yeah. But I'm just saying that I'm confident that Matt Reeves can think of something really good on his own, and we don't really need to think of something. But it's fun, and I might still come up with some kind of like pre-write idea. But yeah, so that is my review for The Batman. It's fucking amazing. Go watch it. If you've watched this part of the movie and have not watched it, god damn it. Whatever. Either way, it's fucking great. I loved it so much. It's my favorite movie. And yeah, I've made that point abundantly clear, I know, but it is great, and I am very excited for what comes next. The Penguin show, the Arkham show, and the sequel, whenever that's gonna come out. We have no idea. It'll probably take a while, but that means if it's not rushed, then the less rushed it is, the better. I am willing to wait 5 whole years for this sequel if that means that we can get something as good or better than the Batman. So yeah, that's it for my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. You can feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments. If you like this video, press the like button. If you like my content that I post very rarely and almost never, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Maybe I am thinking, and I don't want to make any promises because last time I announced something, it didn't work out. But I am gonna say that I am starting to work on the idea of actually making a movie thing and post on this. It'd be something. My problem with the previous movie is that it was way too complex for for my first film, and I was way in over my head. So I'm going for something a bit more simple, something that could be like a comedy sketch or a dramatic short or something. Point is, I want to make something that I can post on here again. No promises because shit happens, but I'm trying to see if I can get towards being able to do that. All right, so that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, etc., etc. Bye. I'll see you guys next time.